Hello and welcome to a humble Highland home. Thank you so much for joining me here today and a very happy new year to you all. We might be in the new year now, but we're still in the coldest, darkest season in the Northern Hemisphere, where nature is showing us the healing powers of resting and doing what we need to do to see us through this time. When I think about the wintering season, I think about the natural rhythms that take us up to the spring equinox. This is when the natural cycle of rebirth and renewal bursts into energy with promise of things to come, and everyone tends to have more vitality in springtime. There are several authors that have written books either about their own personal experiences or their thoughts about periods of wintering and withdrawing from the world when going through difficult times, and others relate it to seasons of life. I can understand both these concepts. Wintering is a time to retreat and to recuperate and to nurture ourselves before slowly coming back into the world. People sometimes set grand New Year's resolutions only for them to be a distant memory by February. So as the festive period comes to an end, I'm tidying up and putting our decorations away and slowly getting back into my normal rhythm, and then I can plan any changes in that I want to make. This time last year, I'd been experiencing what I thought was a trapped nerve in my shoulder blade, and this led to a much slower start to the year. I later found out it was actually a slip disc in my neck. I understood what had caused it, and it took around 4 months in total to get it back on track. But it also gave me a good incentive to ensure that I look after myself in all the seasons and to take wintering a little bit more seriously. Although it was quite frustrating and debilitating, I actually enjoyed the slower start to the year, especially when it can be so busy in our home economy lifestyle for most of the year, because we're always growing, preserving and foraging our own food and then cooking from scratch and fixing things. And that's without the work that we do out with the house. However, the long, wet, cold, dark days can be a struggle at times, so I make sure that I have a day-to-day routine, and I like to spend some time outside in the cold, preferably in nature. I do love to be surrounded by the natural changes of the seasons, but I do seek out some morning sun if I can. So in our wintering time, we've still been pottering, doing a few jobs. Adam has continued to chop the logs from the tree that we had taken down and doing some fix-it tasks in the garage. And I'm gradually bringing my routine back into my days, slowly doing some jobs around the house that tend to get left for the rainy days. The cold ground is continuing to work well as a root cellar for the carrots, And the polytunnel and the garden fleece helps to keep the temperature to a level that the ground isn't frozen solid, so that I can lift the carrots straight out of the ground whenever I need them. It is quite dark in here just now because of the snow on top of the polytunnel, so I'll be brushing off the snow to let the light back in. But this is the time that we don't get any sunlight in the garden, so everything does tend to suffer. I don't think any of the early purple sprouting broccoli is going to survive. Unfortunately, it suffered badly after our first snowfall, which broke some of the leaves off. But then the frost got in the stems, which they probably won't recover from. Underneath this snow, the earth is resting and preserving its energy, ready to come back to life once the circumstances are right again. And we're grateful for that. Year on year, we see more food coming from the garden into the kitchen to either eat fresh, be preserved in one way or another, or shared with family, friends, or swapped, sold, or shared on our wee community stand in the driveway. I hope to eventually double what we currently have in outdoor growing spaces, but that will take time as I have to remove the rocks first, but it's all part of the plan, step by step. The water in the burn has subsided now from the rains and the local flooding that we had. The ground is just so wet that the floodplain fields soon fill up. The time in between Christmas and New Year is where I normally sit down and review the plan that we'd set from the year before and either set new intentions or aim to build on the ones that we'd already started. Then we narrow them down to a maximum of 3 things that we hope to finish by the end of the year. Now, I've done other videos, one called Finishing What We've Started, and another one to continue to finish what we've started. So I will do an update video on those so you can see how we've been getting on with them. However, over the Christmas period, we were having far too much fun with our friends and family. So that's why I'm starting to think about the things that we want to achieve in the year ahead. Now, this also includes the food growing in the garden and the focus foods that I intend to grow this year, and some that I won't be growing, but that's a bigger discussion maybe for another time, I think. I only need to order a few seeds this season, as I've been saving more and more of my seeds from the plants that I've allowed to go to seed to add to our seed bank. I start off the year by drawing and writing my garden plan in this book, and over the years, every year it starts well and then tends to get a bit lost when we're in the busiest times. And I say every single year that I'm going to improve on this, but I try. Today is a perfect wintering day for me. I've given myself permission to slow down and enjoy the beauty that can be found in this season and to recharge my batteries. It's a time that we can spend with close loved ones, but it's also a time to retreat and have time to ourselves. And that's what we've done today. We've experienced the change in weather, breathing the fresh cold air this morning, and then retreating home to cook warming foods, drink hot drinks, and be surrounded by cozy cushions and blankets in front of the fire. And even if we don't have the fire lit, I will light candles and try to keep the lights low, especially just before bedtime. Reducing screen time, especially in an evening, and establishing a good bedtime routine is a fabulous investment for the following day. So whilst I'm sitting here reviewing the plans that I'd made from the year before and setting some new intentions from the year ahead, Adam is busy working on a jigsaw that I'd got from a charity shop to do over the Christmas holidays. But we were a bit late in getting it started, so we're slowly starting to make progress with it now. And this is a great alternative to putting on the TV or scrolling on phones or iPads. So this is how I'm starting my new year. I'm starting mindfully, as the days are already starting to stretch and the spring season and longer days will be here before we know it. Please let me know in the comments below things that you do in your time of wintering that help you through to the brighter times. But for now, thank you so much for being with me here today. Take care of yourself and others, and I'll see you in the next video.